Last week, after 6 years in prison and under house arrest in Iran, Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe was finally released and reunited with her family on UK soil. Yesterday, she gave her first press conference. Clearly, she feels anger towards the UK government for the delay in getting her home. Some saying today she should be grateful to be back. But is it in any way fair for indeed any of us to judge her, Janet? I mean, none of us have walked in her shoes. We can't even begin to imagine what she's been through. She's certainly entitled to a view.
Exactly. She's perfectly entitled to feel like that. And it's completely understandable. And it is shocking that it has taken 5 foreign secretaries over 6 years to finally agree terms of paying a debt that existed. It was probably the reason why she was taken as a hostage in the first place. And then she was completely innocent. Then her situation wasn't helped when she was taken and she was in prison by Boris Johnson describing her work wrongly in Parliament, which gave the Iranians a kind of false reason to claim that she was a spy. And I mean, my heart goes out to her and to her husband because both of them went on hunger strikes during this 6-year period. She couldn't see the daughter that she'd originally taken to Iran to see her relatives in the first place. And I think nothing she said is inexcusable. I mean, my heart goes out to her. I do think, though, that when she was taken in the outset, at the outset of her capture, we were not told why we couldn't negotiate. There was so much secrecy over why couldn't we have got her out? And then there was all this talk about, well, the Americans wanted hostages from America to be involved in any deal that would get her out too. And, you know, well done to Liz Truss for finally making a breakthrough. And as I understand it, it's because, well, people are saying, well, Britain was always willing to pay the £400 million that we legitimately owed to Iran, but we were unsure how the Iranians were going to spend that money, and we wanted to control that. But whatever's happened in the end, thank goodness she's home, but there are people who are still being held hostage in Iran.
Yeah, exactly that.
I just don't think that she should have been used as a political pawn in the first place, you know. There's lots of stuff that goes on. Yes, we owe money and there's this going on and that going on, but when they start using people as political pawns, this is human life we're talking about. She has had 6 years of her life taken away from her. She's had memories that she should have been spending with her children taken away from her. She's had opportunities taken away from her. She's had a human privilege, human rights taken away from her. And that's all been, you know, in a way that I just think it's so incredibly wrong. She's done nothing wrong. And her expressing her feelings, we've got to remember, she's been through God knows what. We don't know the situation she's been exposed to. We don't know what she's seen, what she's experienced. And what's coming out of her is 6 years pent up. Anger. She's been the one that's been taken away from her family, you know, going through all of these difficult times. And what comes out, I'm just glad that she was able to say it. And say it to a forum that's open, where we can all hear what's being said. Because when she goes home, I'm sure there's going to be lots of private conversations, lots of reflection, lots of difficult times that she's going to have to go through, memories that she's going to have to deal with.
Well, I was reading today that she was saying, you know, she's looking forward to building up a relationship like with her daughter again. Yeah. Her husband's looking forward to just going back and being her husband and not being this, because he's campaigned for 6 years. You know, he's
been on here many times.
He's worked so hard. It must be amazing for him. And I look at them there; it's fantastic. And I get her anger. But let's not forget, of course, there's a part of her that is so happy and so grateful as well to be home to people like her husband and the general public who've all been behind her. But I think she's every right to feel, you know, if that was almost easy to do, you've given them what they want and I'm home, of course you'd sit there and go, why didn't you do that 6 years ago?
That's exactly it, because the release almost came as a shock to everybody.
Yeah, to everyone.
So it does appear the debt was paid and she was released.
And she was home.
Yeah.
Do you think that 5 foreign secretaries in 6 years you could say that our politicians don't take the job of being Foreign Secretary very seriously to keep shuffling them around like that.
Yeah.
And you could say, you know, Liz Truss has had her critics. You know, she was laughed at when she posed in Moscow with a big fur hat on, trying to channel Maggie Thatcher. And we know she's incredibly ambitious. But do you think that being a female negotiator in that position made a difference? I mean, she said from the outset that was what she wanted.
Well,
she didn't, you know, she didn't mince her words, did she?
She did say there was a change in government, which has obviously helped this shift to happen, because she was able to go in and hope for a fresh start with a new government, and that's kind of helped in terms of getting her home. So, but being a woman is always a good thing. That little diplomacy that we have every now and then doesn't go amiss, does it?
Well, didn't get her very far with Putin, unfortunately.
No, but hopefully, as you say, the family can now start to rebuild in some shape or form, whatever the new normal is. You have to navigate your way around it, don't you?